What's up, YouTube? Mini Minchino here, and that's what I would say if I was still going by that name. Right. Well, the name is Minivolved, and I'm here in the Unknown Empire Season 2 world. Now, some of you know what this is, but for those who don't know, back on my old channel, I used to be on a server called the Unknown Empire. And this world, this particular world, was part of Season 2. And this was, my life. Pretty much. Now, this video, isn't going to be a tour of the server, but what this is going to be is like my own personal history with this world. And the main thing that I'm going to focus on is my own personal base, which is not this area. This is where I started out on the server, which is why I'm here. So I started out in, I believe it was, I want to say it was November 2018, something like that. This town is Waypoint. This is our spawn town, and this was built in Thanksgiving, over Thanksgiving in 2018. So I'm just gonna fly around as we talk real quick. I'm not gonna go into all of the builds. It's just going to be a quick sort of look over them, honestly. I've gone over a lot of these builds in the past several times, so I don't really feel the need to go through it here. But this town sort of started up very close to when I started on the server. I will be going to my first home and showing you that in a moment, but yeah, 2018, I got a message at stupid o'clock in the morning one night on Twitter, and it was somebody inviting me to this. And at the time, my then boyfriend encouraged me to give it a shot because they knew how much I loved Hermitcraft and how much I wanted to be a part of something like this. So, yeah, I eventually, I ended up agreeing, and the rest is history, as they say. But anyways, I'm gonna go over to my first home, which is actually in the opposite direction of this, and you know, we'll carry on from there. Alrighty, here we are, you guys. This is Reverie. This was pretty much the first town I visited on the server when I first joined, and this became my first home, and I'll show you my first house in a moment. But I'll fly around this real quick as I talk here. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit because it's been a long time since I've done like a full video, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, I did those Let's Plays for Unknown Empire Season 3. It honestly should have been called Season 4, if I'm being completely honest with you. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to dive into any of that. I don't want to focus on any of the out-of-game stuff. I just want to focus on this world and the cool stuff in it. Or at least, you know, at least like my cool stuff. Yeah, I have an ego, I guess, apparently. But it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I want to just, this place is beautiful though. It's too beautiful not to show off. And this was kind of a community town, and it was pretty cool. I was pretty much taken in immediately, and it was really, really great to be a part of this. But yeah, like I said, you'll have to bear with me. I was here in Reverie for the first several months of me being a part of this, and I eventually moved to the floating islands of Madeira, which we will be going to next. But that became my home and eventually the birth of my faction, because this was a roleplay server. There was a whole story that we were trying to fill out and play through and stuff. And all kinds of shenanigans went down, but we're gonna go over to Madeira now, and I will tell you a bit about that and how that became a thing. And we're here. We are at Madeira. I decided that I would just sort of chill in the boat, I guess. So y'all have probably seen this quite a few times on my streams, actually. I did this the other day. Or I was here the other day when I was doing some creative mode stuff, but I'll show this off as I talk. So, most of this place was done in survival. This entire dock area, was not, except for this elevator. This is the only thing that remained of what I did in survival, because I didn't like what I did in survival and I wanted to rebuild it. Because I never finished it anyway. It was just a big, ugly platform, and I wanted to do something cool down here. So a good chunk of this stuff that you're gonna see was done in survival. I did not build these islands. They came with the custom map that we were using. But everything that's on them was built by mostly myself. There was like one or two other things that were built by other people. But, oh, my mouse freaked out. I apologize for that. I'm doing this video mainly because it was expressed to me that, you know, some of y'all wanted to know the history of this base in particular. And this base is my pride and joy. I love it to death. And there is an actual real-life story behind it. When I was first trying to figure out what to do with this place, I was stuck. I was very like, I don't know what I want to do. My first thought was make this whole thing into a giant survival dome where the middle of it was mostly wilderness. And that's not untrue here. It's not a dome, but there is still a lot of wilderness. But I eventually settled on the fact that a lot of the trees on this island were very, very hard to work with, right? Because since they were all done in, I believe, World Painter, the game considered those player-placed blocks. Therefore, they don't decay when you break all the logs and stuff. So it was really, really hard to work with. So I set on a task to cut them all down, right? And I promise this is relevant. This is what the original terrain pretty much looked like, by the way. I left some areas behind for the sake of preserving the glory that this is, and it is pretty glorious, I gotta say. But yeah, I had a hard time with these trees, so I set to tear them all down, burn them down, do whatever I had to do to get rid of them. I had to rebuild parts of the island because like the root systems would just tear up some of the land and I needed to not fall through. I fell through the sides of this place so many times. More than I can count, certainly. I eventually remembered a story that my dad used to tell me, and I had to look it up to verify if it was actually true. Turns out there was a lot of truth to what he had told me. So my family is largely from Madeira Island in Portugal. And you'll notice this place is named after it. Now, the story of how Madeira Island got rediscovered was that when the settlers came to the island, right, they noticed that the place was just absolutely crowded with vegetation and stuff, so much so that they couldn't really work with the land or even get through it. So they set fire to it and left it alone for a while. When they came back, they kind of forgot about it for a while. When they came back, they realized, oh, most of this place burnt down. We can actually start, living here now. So that's exactly what they did. They started building places and, cities and stuff like that. But they kept a lot of like the natural sort of wilderness as it was, save for all the burnt trees and stuff. They did start replanting stuff where they wanted it to grow and things like that. And to this day, it's still hard to farm on Madeira Island, but I took a lot of inspiration from that place, or at least not specifically not all of the architecture here is inspired by it, but the idea of building something out of a blank slate. I wanted to keep like a layered effect, right? So you'll notice this whole island, it's in circles. There's an outer circle here that most of the stuff revolves around, right? Most of the time, most of the traffic on this base occurred on the outer ring here, right? And then you had like a retaining wall going around most of this. So a lot of the shops and stuff like that were built into the retaining wall. And above that, on this side here, this is the east side, We've got the farming area and stuff like that. If we come over here to the south, we've got our animal pens around here and stuff like that, all above this retaining wall, right? That's not consistent throughout. There's some places where that's houses. This place doesn't have a retaining wall because I just liked how it flowed. It flowed very nicely, and I think it worked out really, really well. But the same idea with the shops being built into the wall of the outer ring is still here. But these rings, as you go inward, they transition into homes, and then they transition into the mountains. So everything just kind of revolves around themselves, and the mountains have pathways that all interconnect. So if you're here, if you're standing here on this little bit, you can go up to the other side to the farming area, or you can go back around to the church. So you can pretty much get everywhere from anywhere, which was the whole idea of this base. And it took me so long to get everything shaped the way I wanted it to. This was months, and of course I did this all on video. So if you find my old channel, Mini Michino, you'll see a good chunk, most of this progress, right? Most of this was done in survival. After the server ended, I went through and did some stuff in creative mode, but most of this place is still what it was. There's things like this was completely redone in creative. Like, I have redone like little things, like some of these shops were redone and things like that. But the overall layout and theme was survival. This was also creative, you know. And of course I've had this world for a good couple of years as well, so this is also creative. But, you know, there were some things that I really, really liked that I made sure to keep as is, like this, like, little blacksmith shop thing. I love it so much. I don't ever want to change it because it's just, I think it's amazing. I think it's great. Easily one of my favorite builds on this whole map, on this whole set of islands, right? But I eventually let some other people come on here to, you know, to build stuff. I eventually started selling some of the houses on here and things like that. And the houses, the triangular houses, actually, let me show you one real quick. We've seen a couple already, but these houses were actually based off of, if you look them up, look up Santana homes on Madeira Island, you'll see houses that look just like these. Very, very similar, at least. And they're traditional Portuguese homes that nowadays are usually used as, like, shops and stuff. If you look up Madeira Island, you'll see them as part of their iconography quite a bit. And I tried to use that as inspiration for a lot of things. This is not that. This was built by another server member, but I eventually rebuilt the interior, basically. So this is all, the interior of this place is all redone by me in creative, but the original builds was survival. I tried to keep the general theme that was going on, but certain things changed quite a bit. Hi, kitty. I forgot about the kitty on the chair. But yeah, I took a lot of it. I took at least some inspiration from the real life Madeira Island because I thought it was perfect that this place kind of mimicked that history of it being like rediscovered and having like carved it from essentially nothing to what it is now, kind of deal. And I thought it was just perfect. So I decided to create like a little market area, because I mean, you see these types of things in lots of different places, honestly. But so you've got this like market area, you've got these traditional Portuguese homes kind of going around. I'm not personally religious myself, but this church was inspired by the Church of Madeira in real life, and the colors I used in it are the colors of the Madeira flag, which also became the colors for my faction, which I dubbed the Minchino clan. So that's why you're seeing crosses and stuff here, just because I wanted to reflect that history, despite me not being Catholic myself. But I built this little church, and I think it's really cool. It houses the Nether portal, which I thought was ironic and fun. And it worked out really, really well for me. And I just like the nature of this build. It's basically, I'm not good at giant builds, right? But this entire place, I'm actually going to go to the underground section, because actually, believe it or not, we actually have one. So this build is, like, the thing about this is that it's made up of a bunch of smaller things that added up into one bigger thing, right? So even this little area, this was like my faction's headquarters, where we provided food and other resources to whoever needed it. So I had little farms and stuff. This whole place is like self-sustaining. It's pretty great. There's a second smelter up in here. We kept passing by the first one. I never really looked at it. But we've got, you know, farms and stuff like that. I'm gonna go further in so that the chickens and stuff don't destroy your ears. But this was basically my faction's headquarters, and we were just dedicated to helping out anyone we could. We had some bedrooms over here. I just named this room the Minchino Legacy because this actually contains a lot of artifacts from my time on Season 2. Including the armor stand that I left at Havoc's base when we ended the server. So this right here, save for my helmet, which is kind of lost now, was my last set of armor that I had on the server. But there's a bunch of things that I had here, like gifts from server members, an egg from a prank, my banner, some armor from my Thieves Guild armor, my my boat gang jacket and stuff like that, my TARDIS, which was a gift, toilet paper because of you know, this thing lasted a long time. We were still playing on this world when the pandemic started, so you know. Thieves Guild medallion. I have some journals in here. And just some stuff, you know, just some at least iconic to me, like little mementos of that time. I will look at these two rooms in a moment, and I will be honest, Unknown Empire, I probably wouldn't be here without Unknown Empire. It has been it had been a really important part of my life for a long time. And I wouldn't be here without some of the friends that I made through Unknown Empire and stuff. So, like, as much as I am sad that it ended the way it did, it's something that I will always treasure. And this world, to this day, is like a second home to me. And I struggle to leave it behind. I don't think I ever could. At least not on purpose, you know? But that's just my take on it. But I have been doing some things even down here in creative, which is not this yet. We will get to that in a moment. This is the frog layer. How appropriate, we get frog noises. We've got this sheep that's been here for literal years. I don't know why, but he's been here. He won't move. I think he's stuck on the vines. I think that's he's been stuck on the vines for at least 5 years now. So yeah, I wanted to make this cool little underground area. Zaire Lair claimed it for his own, and it's now the frog lair, which I love that we can hear frogs right now. I kind of love it. But some of my more recent endeavors on this map have been this room, which I made a bunch of rooms that were intended to be for the other members of my faction, but nobody got around to decorating them, so I decided to start doing it myself. And this is one of the ones I made based on a palette that I pulled off the internet to just challenge myself. I don't hate this space, I don't know if I love it. These are not... The orange is definitely not a color I would have picked. And I couldn't think of a better place to put the green. So it ended up on the floor. But it actually worked out. I definitely don't hate it. It's something unique and stuff like that. On my last stream, I built this. I don't need to close the doors. I can leave them open. I built this other room, and I thought it was cool. We've got like a little TV set up. I know this is like a medieval-esque role-playing world, but we don't need to worry about that now. We're just doing our own thing with it, right? We've got a little entertainment section, little seating area with some books back here. And I think it came out pretty cool. And then we've got this little elevated section with the bed and stuff. I can hear the sheep downstairs. It's fine. You can hear the water from both the waterfall down there and the item transportation system for my smelter behind here. So it was really hard to like build this properly without, you know, destroying something else. But there's a couple other rooms that I'm slowly going to build out over time, and I don't know when I'm ever going to be complete with Madeira, but that's sort of my haphazard history in a nutshell, if I'm being completely honest with you. There is definitely a lot more I could go into, but I don't really want to go into the exact nature of all of the drama and things like that, because there was quite a bit, and I just want to focus on the good times that were had, and you know, just remember the good that there was, because there was a lot. This world has seen me through toxic relationships, both familial and romantic, and just the support I got from the people that were a part of it still mean the world to me to this day. And I'll never forget it. I will never forget that. And I think being able to come back here, even on live stream and creative, just to do stuff, just to hang out and play on this world and share it with anybody that wants to see it, is, in my mind, the best way to pay homage to that support and just continue sharing something that I really, really love with everybody. So, that corniness aside, I think that's pretty much going to be it for this video. So I'm sorry for the rambly mess. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done anything quite like this. We're going to end off at my house here. Actually, whoops. Yeah, that's right. This was my base, but I had my own specific house, which was right here. Does the sign still say Mini Minchino on it? It does. It does. I'm still sad about having to rebrand, but that's an entirely different... That's a different topic. We're gonna not focus on that. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this. I always enjoy coming back to this world. I will be streaming on here every so often, so if you want to see more of this place, definitely keep an eye out. If you don't follow me on Twitch, definitely go do so. If you don't use Twitch, my VODs do get posted here, so you won't miss anything if you stick around. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Have yourselves a good rest of your day, or whatever time it is. And I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.